अधिकारी देखे नाम बेचे दरो खसी अधिकारी देखे नाम बेचे दरो खसी Change quicker. Who's changing? Jadi naam kinbe bai, jadi naam kinbe bai, jadi naam kinbe bai, jadi naam kinbe bai. संगे चलो महा जोने काछे जाए आमार संगे चलो महा जोने काछे जाए तुमी किनबे कृष्ण नाम তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম রাষ্ট্রী লইব আমি হবে খান কস্তুরি লইব আমি পুনঃ হবে খান ওদনিতায় ওদনিতায় বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ শ্রদ্ধা মাত্র লয়ে দেন পরময়ানন্দ শ্রদ্ধা মাত্র লয়ে দেন পরময়ানন্দ একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল গৌর বলে নিতাই দেন সকল সম্ভার গৌর বলে নিতাই দেন সকল সম্ভার শিখা দেন শুধু কৃষ্ণ শিখা দেন শুধু কৃষ্ণ শিখা দেন শুধু কৃষ্ণ শিখা জাতি দানব বিদ্যা বলা নকরে অপেক্ষা Maya Jal, Amani Chare Maya Jal. Amani Chare Maya Jal, Amani Chare Maya Jal. Grihe Tako Bane Tako, Notake Janjal. Grihe Tako Bane Tako, Notake Janjal. Arnaiko Kalir boy, Arnaiko Kalir boy. Arnaiko Kalir boy, Arnaiko Kalir boy. Achandale denam nitai doyamoy. Achandale denam nitai doyamoy. Koi, Bhakti Vinoda ki koi. Bhakti Vinoda ki koi, Bhakti Vinoda ki koi. Nitai Charan Binaya Nahi Ashray. Charan Dinaya Nahi Ashray. Guru Sukhe Kaboga, Guru Sukhe Kaboga. Guru Sukhe Kaboga, Guru Sukhe Kaboga. Jete name hakuleche. Surabi kunjete name hakuleche. Kodanitai, this means Nityananda Prabhu himself. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants us to know that Nityananda himself opened this shop, distributing the holy names to anyone and everyone. In one verse he says, Jati Danna Vidya Bala Nakore Apika. He said Nityananda Prabhu doesn't care about where you were born, what is your education, how much money you have. These things mean nothing to him. Nitai is the real Patita Pavana. I know sometimes we refer to Lord Chaitanya as Patita Pavan, but Nitai is the real Patita Pavan, because he went to the most fallen. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had sent him and Haridas Thakur to go out on Sankirtan. He told them to go door to door, every house, and ask people to chant Hare Krishna. So they were the pioneers, really, Nitai and Haridas Thakur. They were the pioneers of the Sankirtan movement. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, he is the general. So they went. And Mahaprabhu says, and every day you go out, when you come back, tell me, I want to hear what sort of, what reactions you get from people. Mahaprabhu was very interested in that, to hear, because he was concerned that people would take what he came to give. What did he come to give? Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. He brought the wealth, the treasure of Goloka, this Harinam Sankirtan. And Vrindavan Das Thakur has written that Mahaprabhu weaved a garland of prema. Prema means, what is prema? Love of Krishna. He weaved a garland of prema around the Mahamantra. And therefore his Sankirtan is known as Prema Sankirtan. By this Sankirtan, love is being distributed. There's a nice pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. After Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and moved to Puri, Jagannath Puri, and after that he had even converted the great Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the greatest logician. He was the greatest logician of India, but he was also the greatest logician in the whole world. His name is mentioned in the Encyclopedia Britannica. He was such a scholar. But Mahaprabhu was able to charm him and convert him. He was actually following Shankaracharya, Mayavad. But he was a big person, respected all over India. Sannyasis used to come to him to learn Vedanta. Of course, he was teaching Vedanta with the Mayavad outlook. And he wanted to teach Mahaprabhu his Mayavad Vedanta. Because he thought that when he saw Mahaprabhu, he was present in the temple, Jagannath temple, when Mahaprabhu arrived, and Mahaprabhu, upon seeing the form of Jagannath, he fainted in ecstasy. And then some of the guards in the temple, they came running with sticks to beat him. Their idea was, we don't allow that in here. This is crazy. But Sarvabhauma, luckily, he was there and he stopped them. He said, you cannot beat a sannyasi. And Sarvabhauma examined Lord Chaitanya, and he could tell that he was still breathing very softly by putting a cotton swab by his nose. And he said he understood. He was a very learned man. He understood that this is a condition that is very rare. He's in a state of, bhav. It's not material. So he told some men in the temple, take him over to my house. Sarvabhauma's house was not far from the temple. So he took him there. But he didn't know what to do, how to wake up Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then Mahaprabhu's followers, there were a few of them who were going along with him after he took sannyas. They were going with him, but he would sometimes run off so fast and get ahead of them, and they couldn't keep up with him. And so he arrived in Puri. He arrived at the temple with no one else. So when they came some little while after, they inquired, there was a young sannyasi, he came and someone told them, oh yes, he fainted in the temple, and the great Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has taken him to his house. So he's there. So they said, well, where's his house? Say, it's right there, not far. So they all went. And Mahaprabhu was lying on, on the platform. And they could understand. Because they were his associates from Bengal. They were part of his Sankirtan party. So they started a kirtan. And Mahaprabhu opened his eyes, he woke up, and he was happy to see them, and they were happy to see him, and he didn't know where he was. And so they told him, you fainted, and this kind gentleman has brought you to his home. So Mahaprabhu was he expressed gratitude to Sarvabhauma. And then Sarvabhauma says, Sarvabhauma, thinking that Mahaprabhu took sannyas so young, he's only 24 years old. That was not the custom. Men would take sannyas much older. So he said, this young sannyasi is so beautiful, so nice, he needs help. So he says, I want to teach him the Vedanta so that he can maintain his vows. And when he said that, the followers of Mahaprabhu looked at Sarvabhauma and said, what are you talking about? He can teach you. You can't teach him. And of course Sarvabhauma, he didn't know who Mahaprabhu was. But he accepted. Mahaprabhu agreed, and for 7 days he taught. Sarvabhauma sat And Mahaprabhu sat with him, and he's going through his Mayavad, Shankar commentary on Vedanta. And Mahaprabhu sat silently and didn't say anything, didn't respond. And just by his silence, the Bhattacharya began to doubt himself. Because he's not getting any feedback. But he's a great Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So after 7 days he said, "Sannyasi, you've been hearing me for 7 days?" He said, "Yes." "But you're not saying anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you even understand what I'm saying? Is this too high for you?" And Mahaprabhu said, "I know what Vedanta is." After all, he is Krishna. And in the Gita, Krishna says, "Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham." I know Vedanta. I'm the compiler of Vedanta. And the purpose of studying Vedanta is to know me. So Mahaprabhu knows what Vedanta is. He told Sarvabhauma, he said, "I know what is Vedanta, and I heard what you are saying, but what you are saying is not, this is not what Vyas, the compiler of Vedas, this is not what he's a theist. Vyas is a theist, but what you're speaking is atheistic." So this was the first time anyone ever challenged Sarvabhauma. He couldn't believe it. Here was this young sannyasi who's challenging him. Mahaprabhu says, "I know what Vedanta is, but what you are saying, that is like mumbo jumbo. It makes no sense." And that Sarvabhauma it really shook him. He tried to come back, tried to retaliate, but he was no match. With all his learning, he was no match for this young sannyasi. And then Mahaprabhu left, and the next day Mahaprabhu came early in the morning, right after Mangalarti, and he brought some Mahaprasadam for Sarvabhauma. He called out to him, "Sarvabhauma, get up, come and taste this Mahaprasadam from Jagannath. It's the most wonderful thing." And during the night, Sarvabhauma had been thinking over, what the events of the days. And he was remembering all that Mahaprabhu said to him. And he concluded because he was very intelligent, he concluded that Mahaprabhu is not an ordinary person. He used to have arguments with his brother-in-law, Gopinath, because Gopinath knew who Mahaprabhu was. He used to tell him, "You're thinking he's just some ordinary sannyasi, but he's Bhagavan." And Sarvabhauma could never accept that. So they were living in the same house, because people they used to live like that. They still live like that. Families in one house. So Gopinath was married to Sarvabhauma's sister. So he said, him and Gopinath would have regular arguments about who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Gopinath would present all the Shastric evidences to show that Mahaprabhu is who he says he is. And Sarvabhauma, although he knew so much Shastra, he still couldn't accept it. And then Gopinath had told him, the reason you can't accept and you can't understand who Mahaprabhu is because you don't have it, you haven't gotten the mercy. And he said, so you have the mercy and you are saying I don't have the mercy? He said, yes. Because here Bhagavan is staying in your house and you can't even recognize him. And that is the proof that you are unfortunate. So he went through all this in his mind at night, and then by the time Mahaprabhu came in the morning, he had accepted that Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan. So he came to the window and Mahaprabhu gave him the prasad, and Sarvabhauma just immediately, he took the prasad, said a few mantras, prayers, and he began to eat it. And Mahaprabhu smiled, he said, because Sarvabhauma was the type of person, he wouldn't touch food until he did all kinds of rituals, taking bath and so many things. But now he was like disregarding all of that and just eating the Mahaprasadam. So Mahaprabhu said, now we've got him, he's converted now. He has faith in the Mahaprasadam. So, Sarvabhauma was he became one of the prominent devotees in Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan party in Navadvip. No, I mean in Puri. So he would go out and chant, and people were amazed to see this great scholar dancing and chanting with, the Mahaprabhu. It was an unusual thing. And then one day the king of Puri, Prataparudra, he had been out of the country defending his state and conquering other places. He was a very powerful king. And when he came back, he heard the news that there is a new sannyasi in town. And more than that, your guru, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, has become his follower. So when the king heard all that, he thought, I've got to find out who this is. So he met with Sarvabhauma and he said, I've been hearing things about this new sannyasi in town. What can you tell me about him? I've been hearing things, people are talking, but you're my guru, I want to hear what you have to say. And Sarvabhauma immediately said, he's Bhagavan. And the king said, well, if you say so, Gurudev, it must be so. So I accept it. But now I want to see him. Can you make an arrangement for me to meet him? And Sarvabhauma said, that will not happen. You can put that out of your mind. I said, why? He said, he doesn't meet with kings. He won't meet with you. You will not get darshan. And this is how the king begins to... He was the king of the city, and yet he couldn't get an audience with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was difficult for him to accept. And then one day, other devotees were coming from Bengal because every year they would come for the Rath Yatra. Lots of devotees would come for the Rath Yatra. They used to walk. Yeah, because 500 years ago there were no buses or trains or anything like that. You wanted to go to Vrindavan and you want to go to Puri, you have to walk. But all these Bengali Vaishnavas used to walk to Puri. So for two reasons, they would go for Jagannath Rath Yatra, and they would go to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he used to be their hometown boy. So they would come there, and when they came, when they were arriving in town, Sarvabhauma took the king up on the roof of one of the buildings so they could see the devotees coming into town. And they were coming into town, they were doing kirtan. And their kirtan was out of this world. The king said, I have never seen. He said, I've seen so many different groups and people of different beliefs, because Jagannath attracts everybody. He said, but I've never seen anything like this, like these people here. What such dancing and chanting, what is it? And Sarvabhauma told him at that time, this is Prema Sankirtan. This is a special creation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from there, the king began to develop more and more desire to meet with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita is such a wonderful book. We actually get this book by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. He ordered Krishnadas Kaviraj to write this book. He also, before that, he ordered Vrindavan Das Thakur to write Chaitanya Bhagavat. So those two books, which are most important to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, all came by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. So, in this song, we see that Nityananda Prabhu is going out on Sankirtan. He's a pioneer. And it is said that Nityananda and his intimate associates, they started the first recruiting and initiating people. Nityananda and they were called Dwadasa Gopal, 12 cowherd boys that came from Goloka, also descended to participate in the Sankirtan movement, and they started the preaching. But there were no books at that time. There were no books then. So they had to just go and ask people to chant Hare Krishna and chant themselves. And in this way people were joining Mahaprabhu's movement. It wasn't until years after, when the 6 Goswamis they were sent to Vrindavan by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they were ordered to write books explaining the science of Krishna consciousness. So sometime after Mahaprabhu had gone, and even after Nityananda Prabhu had gone back, then the books started coming out, and then people could get a proper understanding. But before that, for years, it was Nityananda and his men, the cowherd boys. They were leading the preaching, the Sankirtan. So Nityananda Prabhu is a big person. Why did Mahaprabhu bring him? Because he's Balaram. He's Balaram. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Brajendra Nandana Jai Sachisuta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So So the only reason we know this is because of the acharyas. If people are not connected to our sampradaya, they will not know this. They don't know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They don't know who is Nityananda Prabhu. But because Prabhupada is coming in that disciplic succession, we are fortunate to know about these things. We are lucky. And but Nityananda Prabhu in this song, he personally started this shop in the marketplace of the holy name, and started giving it to anyone and everyone, which was at the time the climate in India, it was revolutionary. Mahaprabhu, what he was doing was revolutionary. He accepted Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Muslim family, made him the Namacharya. They were doing things, they were going against the normal way of doing things, completely different. And the Brahminical class couldn't understand them, had a hard time. They were opposing them. Still today, they're opposing, you know. But Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they started it. They came to teach something. They were breaking away from the old ways. But everything they were doing was completely in line with the Vedic instructions. Because, as I said, he knows Vedas. It's not that he was doing anything against the Veda, but actually, because of Kali Yuga, things had degenerated to such a state that for instance, the system, the Varnashram system, had become degraded to a caste system. They began to think, because I am born in a Brahmin family, therefore I am a Brahmin. Even though my behavior, my characteristics is lower than a Sudra. So Mahaprabhu wanted to change all of that. And Krishna also. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I created these classes, the Varnashram. He said, it is my, and it's not based on birth at all. It was based on quality and work. Guna karma vibhagasha. But things had deteriorated so much in Kali Yuga that they were thinking just by birth. And so they thought they had a monopoly on spiritual life. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to change that, correct that. So, it's a wonderful time, and we're so close to that time, just 500 years ago. And we are, somehow or other, we are attracted to this movement, part of this movement. We are lucky. Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, one of his preaching expeditions into the city, he converted Jagai and Madai, who were the worst. They were the worst men. There were two brothers. And actually they were born in a Brahmin family. But they had become the lowest. They were debauchees, rapists, murderers, drunkards, meat-eaters. There was no sin that they didn't commit. And when Nityananda Prabhu heard of them, he thought, that's who I want to I want to preach to them. And the pastime is that he approached them and they chased him away. And he came back another day, and this time Madai took a clay pot that had liquor in it, and he hit Nitai on his head and drew blood. And still Nitai is begging him, please take the name of Gauranga, take the name of Krishna. If you take the name of Gauranga, he says, you purchased me, I'll be yours. He was begging, pleading with them. Anyway, eventually Mahaprabhu came upon hearing that Nitai was hurt, and Mahaprabhu became so enraged. I think we have a picture back there. And Mahaprabhu called for the chakra, Sudarshan chakra, and he was going to kill them. He said, you are hurting a Vaishnava. You don't deserve to live. And they were begging, but Nitai begged for them. He didn't, even though he was hurt, he begged for them. And he told Mahaprabhu, we didn't come in this incarnation, we didn't come to kill anybody. And if you kill them, you're going to have a lot more people to kill, because many more people are like this mentality. So Nitai delivered these two, Jagai Madai. They became great devotees. And our Prabhupada, following with the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, he came to America and then around the world, and he delivered thousands of Jagais and Madais. So, and it's still going on. Prabhupada has left, but he's left some service for us to do. There's much to be done. One of Prabhupada's disciples, Vishnu Jan Maharaj, he asked Prabhupada a question. He said, I've been reading some of the writings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he said, and in one of them he says, it was one of the last things he wrote, he said, I feel like my work is undone. I'm not finished. So Vishnu Jan Maharaj asked Prabhupada, what does he mean by his work was undone? And Prabhupada said, he could have done everything himself. He was a Mahabhagwat. He was not an ordinary person. He said, but he left some service for us to do. Mahaprabhu wanted everyone, every land. He wanted this to go everywhere. So it's not completely done yet. So we can't sit back on our laurels, as they say. But we should go out and Sankirtan. Actually, when I came here yesterday, I was so wasted from the journey. I took some prasad and then I fell asleep. And I slept for about 8 hours. And then I got up in the morning, got up at 3 o'clock. And I showered. I came upstairs, I thought I would see a full temple room of devotees. Like this. But instead it was just me and 2 other devotees. So afterwards I asked the devotee, his name was Kula Shekhar. He was playing mridanga and I was playing my wampas, and there was one Mataji in the back. So I said, where's everybody? You know, I had been to this temple once before, but it was maybe a festival time, so it was like this. And he said, Prabhu, those devotees, they only come out on festivals. I said, oh, they're festival devotees. I said, why? And he said, well, they're afraid to come. It's dangerous. And he started telling me about the situation. And I said, but don't they have any faith that Krishna will protect them? They should still come out. Even Mahaprabhu, he had, his devotees were going out and they chant Kazi and Navadvip, broke a mridanga and told, ban, no more chanting in the street. Mahaprabhu didn't just sit back and do nothing. That night he organized the biggest Sankirtan party the world has ever seen. Thousands, 10,000. In one day he was able to round up 10,000 people from all the villages and go out on Harinam with torchlights and instruments. Prabhupada told us, we shouldn't be afraid. Actually, when I joined the movement, the first week I joined in New York City. I was new to America. I came from a little island in the Caribbean, Trinidad. But I liked it when I encountered the devotees chanting on the streets. I liked it. I was very attracted to it. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard the word Krishna. Even though in our island in Trinidad, 50% of the population is Hindus. But I never heard this word Krishna, never saw anybody chanting. I had to come to America. And then I met the Sankirtan party. So I joined after a few months of coming to the temple every Sunday. I spent one night in the temple, and at that time I concluded I will never join this movement because it's too austere. We were sleeping on the ground, no mattresses, no beds, not even sleeping bags. You just get some floor space and lie down and go to sleep. And it was winter time when I joined. The temple were poor. They couldn't afford to turn on the heat. So there was no hot water, no heat in the building, and sleeping on the floor. So I thought, I like everything about this movement, but I will never join. Because if that's how we have to live, I like the chanting, I like the prasadam, I like the philosophy. The devotees were wonderful people, but I thought I'd never join. So I was coming, and then one day, one Sunday, I came to the temple, and the devotee recognized me because I was coming every week. He said, "Today is your lucky day." And I said, "Lucky day? Why?" He said, "Prabhupada is at the airport, and he's coming to the temple, and he will give the talk. He will give the talk." So I was like, wow. I made sure I went and sat right next to his Vyasa-san, 1 foot away. And I wanted to hear everything that he would say. I wanted to see him and hear everything. I didn't want to miss a word. And by the end of Prabhupada's talk, all the reasons I had for not joining went out the window. I knew, now I have to join. And the first day, I started telling you this, the very first day, or maybe a week later, they sent me out on Sankirtan to chant in the streets. And we went in a van. Temple had a big, it's like a cargo van, no windows, a bunch of devotees in there. And we went on right by the Empire State Building, which was at that time, that was the tallest building in the world. And as we were chanting there, within 10 minutes the police came. And they didn't come to tell us to move. They just came with a big wagon, a paddy wagon, and they made us all get into a paddy wagon, and they took us downtown to the station. And when we got to the station, they fingerprinted us. Took fingerprints, and then they took mug shots. We had to stand up by a white wall and hold a number. And while this is going on, I'm thinking, what did I join? What kind of movement is this? And after doing that, they threw us in jail, locked in a cell. And they put us in the cell with other people that were of very shady character. You know, they were like drug addicts, pimps, you know, just really, you just look at them and you know they're bad. And they were looking at us like we are bad. They were looking at us very suspiciously. But the president wrote Prabhupada and told him what happened. And Prabhupada said, "Don't feel bad about this, don't worry. This happened to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also." So, the devotees here, I was speaking with Kulashekar, I said, this temple is for them, but they're not coming, only at festival time. During Prabhupada's time, the temples were packed, even with no facility. It was really hard, but nobody thought of leaving. Why? We know what we were getting was the most valuable thing. And what little austerity we had to tolerate, not a big deal. And Prabhupada was leading us. we knew we were being led by the most qualified, competent person. And he would only come maybe once a year because the temples were opening so quickly, and he could only get to. There were some temples that opened that he never got to. Yeah, there wasn't, But when he did come, he'd come and stay maybe 4 or 5 days. That's it. But when he came, we would all get lifted. Literally, we would get lifted by his kirtan, by his preaching. And we never wanted to leave. We didn't complain. Well, I saw that these devotees are staying here and they're not complaining with this horrible situation. I was living at home with my mother and my younger brother and sister, and I had a bed there, and we had heat, hot water, and I come in here to live in this, and there's no heat, no hot water, no bed, nothing. But I looked at it, I thought, but all these devotees are staying. Why? Because they know they're getting something much better. What Krishna says, Param Drishtva Nivartati. When you get a higher taste, you can give up the low taste. And it didn't matter. But we felt, we were hearing about Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all these great devotees of Mahaprabhu, and that was giving us life. So these temples are for that. They're like oases. You know what an oasis is? In the desert. The desert means, miles and miles of sand, nothing. And you come upon an oasis. And it's got water, it's got greens, it's got dates and other things. The temples are like that. And therefore Prabhupada used to say, this temple is not in New York, it's not in Los Angeles, it's not in England. And he'd say, it's Vaikuntha. And when he said it was Vaikuntha, it was so powerful, we believed, yes, we are living in Vaikuntha. And no one could understand, my friends couldn't understand, my parents couldn't, well, only my mother was alive, my father died when I was 14. But no one could understand why we were leaving everything and joining Prabhupada. It didn't make sense to them. When I told my mother, she was the first person I told. After hearing Prabhupada speak, I went home that night and I told her, I said, Ma, I'm going to quit my job and I'm moving into the temple. My mother, she didn't object to me going to the temple on Sundays. She was fine with that. That was not a problem. But when I say I'm going to give up everything and go living, that was too much. So she started to cry. And no boy wants to see his mother cry. So her crying was like painful for me to see her crying. And I prayed to Krishna, what can I say to make her stop crying? And then an idea came. And I said, Ma, you're crying at the wrong time. And she stopped for a minute. She said, "Is there a right time to cry?" I said, "Yes, but you're crying at the wrong time." And so she wanted to know what else I was going to say. I said, "You remember before I started going to the temple?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "You remember what I was like?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Did you know all the nonsense I was doing?" She said, "Yes, I know what nonsense you're doing." I said, "But at that time, you knew I was doing nonsense, but you never cried." You never cried. Now, I'm getting it together. I'm getting my life together. I'm straightening up so that I can fly right. I said, "And you're crying." I said, "You're crying at the wrong time." And you know, those words penetrated her heart. She stopped crying. She could understand what I'm doing. I said, "You know, this is the only thing that makes me happy." When I was doing all those nonsense things, I was suffering. I knew I was suffering. And she knew I was suffering, but she didn't cry. And now that I said, "No, I want to dedicate my life to God," and you're crying? This is nothing to cry about. You should be happy. So she understood. And then she became one of my biggest supporters. She became proud that I was a devotee, even though she was a staunch, what you call, Catholic. She raised me as a Catholic. And she used to tell me, you know, "I don't understand what you're doing, but I know it's okay." She said, "And don't ever try to convert me." I said, "Don't worry, I'll never try." You know? That's not what it's about. So, you all are devotees. This temple is beautiful. It's nicely maintained. But it's just a building if nobody's here. You know? In the old, some of the first temples, they used to be rented. It was rent a building and open a temple. Didn't own it. And I found out that even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that's what he did also. The renting. He wasn't into constructing big, nice temples. Just rented a rented apartment even. Actually, when Prabhupada first met Bhaktisiddhanta, it was in a rented house in Calcutta. So, you all should come. Krishna will protect. He says, "Don't fear." Right? Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. He will protect us. We have so much examples in our history of people taking shelter of Krishna in difficult times. Right? It was always like that. The Pandavas, such great devotees, their mother Queen Kunti, their faith never wavered. Even Bhishma Dev, in Bhagavatam, Bhishma Dev, he said, "When I think of all the difficulty that you your family went through. And you are such great devotees of Krishna, it makes me cry. But they remain fixed. The devotion for Krishna never slackened. Well, I've been talking for a while now, I think. We should chant something. Hmm? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Nadiya Gudrum Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Gudrum Nityananda Mahajan, Patiya Chinam Hadisi Berakaran, অতি আছে নামত জীবের কারণ শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহে কৃষ্ণ নাম অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ জন প্রাণ কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ জন প্রাণ নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ কৃষ্ণের সংসার করি করিয়ানো চাও কৃষ্ণের সংসার করি করিয়ানো চাও বিবেদয় কৃষ্ণ নাম সর্বধর্ম সার বিবেদয় কৃষ্ণ নাম সর্বধর্ম সার নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ পতি আছে নাম মত জীবের কারণ ও সদাবান জন হে সদাবান জন হে সদাবান জন হে সদাবান জন হে নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান নদিয়া কুটুম নিত্যানন্দ মহাজান অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ জন প্রাণ কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ জন প্রাণ কৃষ্ণের সংসার করি চরিয়ানো চাও কৃষ্ণের সংসার করি চরিয়ানো চাও Sarvadharmasya Vedaya Krishna Nam Sarvadharmasya Nadiya Gojunde Nityananda Mahajan Nadiya Gojunde Nityananda Mahajan Patiya Chinna Bhakta Nidera Karan Patiya Chinna Bhakta Nidera Karan Nadiya Gojunde Nityananda Mahajan Nadiya Gojunde Nityananda Mahajan Patiya Chinna Bhakta Nidera Karan Patiya Chinna Bhakta Nidera Karan Nidera Karan. Hari Bol. One more? Okay. More Mahamantra or a song? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What shall we sing? We shall sing Gauranga Bolite Habe.
Very well.
Yeah. Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Nam Yane Babe Nira Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Bolite Nam Yane Babe Nira Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Nam Yane Babe Nira karo sada narottamo das pratana karo বলিতে হবে পুলকাশরীর হরি হরি বলিতে না জানে ববে Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Anyway, this is a very, very beautiful song sung by Narottam Das Thakur. And in this song, Narottam Das Thakur is hankering after spiritual advancement, spiritual perfection, as we all should be. We should want to make more spiritual advancement. We don't want to remain on a low platform, you know. So to make progress in spiritual life, progress means acceptance and elimination. As you grow, you will hear more and more. As you study the books, you will see more, and you have to accept. And all the misconceptions and attachments that we came with, we have to eliminate them. We have to let it go. So Narottam Das is saying, Gauranga bolite habe phulaka sharira, Hari Hari bolite na yane babe nira. He is asking, when will that day come? When will that day come when, as soon as I chant the name of Gauranga, the father of this Sankirtan movement, when, as soon as I chant his name, there will be tears in my eyes. And then after tears, there will be shivering in the body and, faltering of the voice, hair standing on end. These are called Sattvika Bhava. In Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion, he explains these things. These are stages in the advancement, development. With Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this was a daily affair. As soon as he joined the kirtan, he would fall apart. It was bhava. He was experiencing not just bhava but mahabhav. So Prabhupada cautioned us that this is not to be imitated. This is not to be imitated, the crying and falling on the ground and so on. He said, these things will come one day. You don't have to force it. And he tells us in the next verse, Ar kobe nitai chan koruna hoibe sangsara bhashanamor kobe tuchcha habe. He said, when we receive the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, then our desires for material enjoyment will become very insignificant. Tuchcha, kobe tuchcha habe. And this word was used also by Srinivasa Acharya in describing the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Because, Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they were big men. They were ministers in the government of Bengal. Nawab Hussain Shah, like the king, and he wanted them to be in his cabinet, to rule the country. He had heard about these two brothers, they were extremely intelligent and they had good qualities. They could speak many languages, 6, 7 languages. So Nawab approached them saying, I want you to work for me. Name your salary, I will give it to you, whatever you want. And they listened to him, and he was the ruler. He said, I will pay you in gold coins. In gold, not this paper money that we get. It's worth nothing. But they said, after deliberating carefully, they said, thanks but no thanks. We really, of course they don't want to work for him because he was a Muslim ruler, and many atrocities were carried out by some of the rulers. The Muslims occupied India for 800 years. It's a long time. And after them the British came and they occupied India for another 200 years. So Rupa and Sanatan, they said, thanks but no thanks, but we don't want this job. And the Nawab said, well, let me put it in another way. I'm going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. And they said, what is that? He says, if you don't accept my offer to work for me, and I'll pay you well, then I will terrorize all the Hindus in your village. And they knew he could do it. They were doing it in other parts of India. And this Nawab was powerful. They knew he would do it. He said, if you don't work for me, this is what's going to happen. So they were thinking of the people, and they thought, okay, we will do it. So he paid them well in gold coins, but they were not happy to do that, because he wanted them to manage his kingdom while he goes out and conquer other parts of India and terrorize people. So they didn't want to be part of that. But they heard of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they went to meet him. And of course, when they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they want to join. And Mahaprabhu gave them advice. He said, wait for the right time, then you can come. But do your duty, your work. He said, don't bring suspicion on you, otherwise it could be dangerous. Mahaprabhu even said, just like the wife of someone, if she has a parama, a lover, she does her work so nice at home that his husband never thinks something's going on. This is Mahaprabhu's example. So he said, so you must do your duty very nicely and wait for the right opportunity, and then you can come and join me. So they did. And at first Rupa Goswami left, and it said that he had so much money, he had enough gold coins to fill a fishing boat. So how wealthy is that? He is more than a billionaire. But he walked away from that position. He divided the money, distributed, and he joined, and he left money for Sanatan to make his escape. And it's a long story, I won't get into it, but Sanatan was able to also get away, and they both joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they were so humble. They never, with all the money they were making and the positions they had, they were ministers in the government, chief ministers, and they walked away from it. And Mahaprabhu sent them to live in Vrindavan, and they lived there under a tree. But although they were there, they wrote the most wonderful books. There's no university there. But they were engaging in Krishna Kirtan. Krishna, in the song, Srinivasa Acharya sings, Krishna Kirtana Gana Nattana Paro Premamritam Buni. They were not lamenting, oh, we left all this money behind. No. Prabhupada even told us, he said, during the time of India's, Gandhi time, revolting against the British, there was another man, what's his name? Subhash? Yeah. He was also once for the revolution. He wanted the British out, but he didn't agree with Gandhi's method of non-violence. Yeah, he said, these Britishers, they will never, this will be ineffective. You have to fight fire with fire. And so he came up with a plan. He created an Indian national army. But the British were still there, occupying India, and many Indians were in the army. They were recruiting any able person. The British were fighting wars in different places. They were fighting in Japan, they were fighting in Germany, they were fighting in this place. And who do you think was doing all the fighting? It was Indian soldiers in the British Army. They were trained but Subhash was so intelligent. He thought, when there's war, the enemy, the other side, they take prisoners and they put them in concentration camps while the war is going on. So many Indian soldiers were in concentration camps in Japan and in Germany. And Subhash, he went to those places and approached the leaders. In Germany he went and spoke with Hitler. And he spoke with the Japanese ruler too. He told them, he said, your enemy is my enemy. So that immediately got their attention. He said, your enemy is my enemy. But I have a plan. He said, you give me all these Indian soldiers that you have in concentration camp. You give them to me, turn them over to me. I am forming this army. And while the British are fighting you in the front, I'll attack them from behind. So they like that idea. And actually many people in India, especially in Bengal, because Subhash was from there, he's like a national hero. They have statues of him you go to Bengal. So and they feel, I've read some things where philosophers feel that it's because he was doing this, the British realized we can't fight the enemy out there. Meanwhile, we have somebody in our back fighting us. So they began to the idea that maybe it's time for us to leave. Because Gandhi was telling them, leave. We want our country back. And they said, well, you expect us to just walk out of here? And he said, yeah. It's not your own, it's ours. Anyway, that's the history. But when Subhash was rounding up men, the Prabhupada told us that he would go to wealthy men. And he was an intelligent guy too. He said, how much money you need to live on? He said, you can take that, what you need to live, but the rest you give it to me. Because I'm doing this for you all, for all of India. We want to get rid of the Britishers. So his tactic, many wealthy men, accepted, agreed. And Prabhupada said some of them they did it, but they couldn't live. They were accustomed to such high, having so much money and everything, and when they were forced to, they couldn't live. Some of them commit suicide. Yeah. But Goswamis, they didn't. The song says they Kabil Tucha Habe, it became insignificant. They could walk away from it. Why? Because they were getting something better. They were tasting nectar, Krishna consciousness, and they were practicing. They were the examples of sadhana. They had perfect sadhana, chanting so much a day, making obeisances so many times, circumambulating Vrindavan. They were not miserable. And you see pictures of how they were living, they were just dressed in a little cloth. But they were the most intelligent men. Actually, during that revolution, many intelligent young men joined, were following. Our Prabhupada was even following Gandhi. Several of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciples were involved in that. But they knew this was the right thing to do. But when Prabhupada went to meet his Guru, Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he went to meet him somewhat reluctantly. One of his friends was, pulling him, saying, "Come, I want you to come and meet a sadhu, a nice sadhu." And Prabhupada's response was, "There's so many sadhus. I've seen them all. And India is a land of sadhus. So many sadhus." Prabhupada used to see many of them came to his father's house, and Prabhupada could tell that some of them were genuine and some of them were bogus. You'll always find this. There's real money and there's counterfeit. There's real gold and there's fool's gold. It may look the same. But Prabhupada saw this, but his father was he was a pure devotee, Gaur Mohan De. He overlooked the faults of the false sadhus. He gave everybody contribution. So when his Prabhupada's friend asked him, "Come, I want you to come and take you to meet this sadhu," Prabhupada said, "I don't want. I've seen them all." But his friend insisted, "No, this is a real sadhu. This is a real sadhu." And he pulled it. And Prabhupada went there, and Bhaktisiddhanta had a rented house. That was the temple. And he was preaching, and he was opening temples or mats all over India. So when Prabhupada went to see him, he knew what to do, because Prabhupada was a cultured man. His father was a pure devotee, so he was cultured. It's not that he didn't know anything. So in the presence of Bhaktisiddhanta, he paid his obeisances. And before he could get off the ground, Bhaktisiddhanta spoke to him and says, "You are an intelligent young man." Just the way Prabhupada dressed, how he carried himself, Bhaktisiddhanta understood, this is an intelligent young man. Prabhupada said, at that time I was following Gandhi. I was dressed in khadi, white, So he said, "You are an intelligent man. Why don't you preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world?" And Prabhupada, still on the ground, he didn't even get up yet, paying dandavats. He thought, he doesn't even know me, and he's already telling me what to do. He's giving me orders. So Prabhupada sat down, and very respectfully, he posed a challenge. But respectfully, he said, "Who will want to listen to us? No? Who will want to listen to us? We Indians, we can't even manage our own country. We got the foreigners are ruling us. Who will want to hear anything we have to say?" Because Prabhupada was somewhat influenced by Gandhi. But Bhaktisiddhanta, to other people that may have sounded like a good argument, but Bhaktisiddhanta didn't accept it. He said, "It doesn't matter who's in charge. It really doesn't matter." His father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all this time the British is there, he worked as a magistrate. So, and yet he was preaching like anything. He was laying down the foundation for the Krishna consciousness movement. So Bhaktisiddhanta, if your father is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how could you not see? So he defeated Prabhupada's idea that maybe when we get independence, then when we get the Britishers, then we can preach. Bhaktisiddhanta said, "No, don't wait for that." He said, "This is independence, and that's a small thing. The movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is a big thing. That's the most important thing." So he convinced Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, when I left that building that day, I concluded that the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the hands of a very expert devotee. And it was. Bhaktisiddhanta was preaching all over India. He had something like 64 temples. But he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to go everywhere. Every town and village. Yare Dakho Tahe Koho Krishna Upadesh. Right? So from the first meeting he told Prabhupada, why don't you do this? This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada said, I accepted it, but I was not ready yet to do it. I had to prepare myself for preaching. And then when he left and came to India, he was ready. He was so ready. Any opportunity, he would take advantage of it. And therefore the Krishna consciousness movement spread like an epidemic. Like an epidemic. And people in India, they were shocked. They thought, he's really an ambassador, Prabhupada. He's an ambassador for India. He was going around the world, and like I said, when he landed, he said, when I got off the boat at the Boston harbor, I didn't know if to go this way or that way. All he had with him was his faith. He had firm faith, and he brought with him a trunk of books. You know those trunks that you can only buy in India? Metal made out of galvanized. He was bringing the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He had written it. He spent a few years in Chaupati. No, not Chaupati. What is it called? Chippiwara. Yeah, Chippiwara. Anytime I go to Delhi, I always go there, just to take inspiration from Prabhupada. Stayed there and he performed austerities there. That Chippiwara temple it's in the heart of a big Muslim district. There's a big mosque there, one of the biggest mosques. But Prabhupada was translating, working. He had a goal. And once he had finished the first canto, and he says, now I've got something to give to people. So he wasn't coming to take anything from he was coming to give. And he had the most precious gifts. Bhagavatam. So Narottam Das Thakur says, when I get the mercy of Nitai and all my mind becomes purified, and then I'll be able to understand what is Vrindavan, what is the conjugal loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, because that's not easy to understand. It requires hearing about Radha and Krishna. You have to hear from someone who is, pure. And all the 11 affairs of Radha and Krishna, that was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. Before him, it was unknown. So, somehow or other, we are connected with Prabhupada, and we are this sampradaya, this disciplic succession of spiritual professors, Goswamis and others, coming all the way down. They had good character, and they were practicing spiritual life. Prabhupada told one disciple, Achyutananda, when Prabhupada, before we had any temple in India, he left two men. He went and he left two brahmacharis in India. There's no temple. And they wrote Prabhupada action. They were new, they weren't old devotees, they were not even 2 years old. So they felt, we just joined, we're in the temple, we get in the morning program and everything, and now we're in India, we have no temple nowhere. They were feeling, we need some association. And so Prabhupada they asked him if they could stay at one of the Gaudiya Math temples. Prabhupada said, yes, you can do that. But there was problem. After a little while, the leader of that mat approached those two men, two brahmacharis, and told them, I want to give you sannyas. And one of them was like captivated by the idea of getting sannyas so easy. But Achyutananda said, thanks, but no thanks. He says, if I'm going to take sannyas, my guru is still alive, I'll take it from him. And he wrote Prabhupada, and he told him what happened, and Prabhupada said, leave that place immediately. And he said, go to Navadvip and go to my godbrother Sridhar Maharaj and stay there. He said, you'll be safe there. And he says, I know you will be safe there because I know him, we're friends. So, but by that devotee, Achyutananda, going there and staying there, we now have all these bhajans, these songs. Because while he was staying there, he learned the songs. They used to sing so many songs, bhajans, daily at Sridhar Maharaj's mat. And Achyutananda put together the original songbook. You see the songbook that we have now? Yeah. It came because of that. And Prabhupada even wrote the foreword or the introduction to it. He appreciated it. So, of course, it's Prabhupada inspiring, and he gave us these songs because he said these songs they're not ordinary songs. They're not cinema songs. They're songs coming from the heart of pure devotees. And these songs can help us in our progress in Krishna consciousness. So, our prospects are very great, but we have to be, guided properly. So, I think we should stop there. Tomorrow there'll be more. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Dear devotees, this concludes day one of the wonderful 4-day festival. Agni Prabhu, it feels like you've never left. Being here with you and the amount of love you have for all the devotees. Thank you for sharing the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, the glories of Srila Prabhupada. We're eternally grateful to you, Prabhu, even though you are experiencing jet lag, and hope you felt more present in the association with the devotees, and thank you for giving us your wonderful association. So dear devotees, just so you know, tomorrow, as you know, it will be the Pushpa Abhishek and the 6-hour Kirtan. So if you'd like to partake in the actual breaking of petals, you can come at 12 o'clock, and those are the actual petals that will be used to bathe the deities. Also, as you know, the devotees have been grinding chandan over the past few weeks. So if you'd like to also grind chandan tomorrow, you'll get an opportunity to grind the paste that will be applied on their lordships on Sunday. So the devotees, also tomorrow, we're giving away the time, but at 2:30 p.m. the Lord will be unveiled in a new flower outfit. So the Lords will be wearing 2 different outfits, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So I ask you all to please come early. It's starting from 1 o'clock, going up until 7 p.m. Yes, and Prabhu will be singing as well at 2:30, so please try and come as early as possible. And dear devotees, if you'd like to contribute in any way towards the festival, whether it's sponsorship or would like to help in any service, please come and see the older devotees who are assisting Ganesh Prabhu, myself. So yes, this concludes day 1 of this 4-day festival. Dear devotees, in the spirit of grabbing the mercy of Lord Nityananda, let's all raise our hands and let's chant a big Hare Krishna on the top of our voices. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So dear devotees, we apologize for going slightly over time, and please remember, please try and come for Mangal Arati, as Agnidev Prabhu mentioned. Krishna will protect us. In fact, we're having a special Mangal Arati program on Monday, on Lord Nityananda's appearance day with Agnidev Prabhu, so please try and come for that as well. Thank you very much. We'd like to thank all the cooks who have, Naresha Prabhu and team, for cooking today's feast, and next part of our program is to honor Bhagavad Prasad. Shri Nityananda Trayodasi Festival ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.